Hey, Molly. You look a bit big in this dress. Did you gain weight? Hey, come on. It's just a joke. Take a chill pill.
Do you find yourself saying offensive remarks to others that made you think, my bad, it wasn't on purpose or malicious, right? One question. Has anyone said something to you that wasn't nice and they thought it was just a joke and should be taken lightly? Well, in this show, we'll discover the types of my bad people and phrases people use that can hurt others. Let's be alert this Friday at 3 p.m. Coming up on today's show.
What is the word in Xhosa?
Usually classes when someone just speaks anyhow, they have a saying, they say, "Ukajweli hash." It's like the horse hit you behind, so you just, throw words.
That is girl. No one can get from the father what that little girl can get. You see, I have two here.
In his own way, because my husband is very hard to manipulate. It's very difficult.
But you still try.
And I used to flatter people
Really?
quite a lot. I did. But
Oh, today hot
not-
seat times 4.
not
Eager to know more? Well, let's stay tuned.
We are women. We are brave, strong, capable, unique. We are women to women.
Good afternoon, South Africa. Welcome to another Woman to Woman show. And we are starting our beautiful month of September together. We here will not try to make it better than last week. That's a point. We have to accept that it's not a match. And for the second part of the show, you need to wait for the last Friday of September, when those two guys challenged us. But we're prepared for that. And as they brought an audience of their own, and we didn't know of, we are going to bring an audience of our own for that challenge. So you have to count down. Today is the first Friday of September. We are together and excited. And you have to wait for the last show of September with part 2 of Forever Yena. Today, we are going to speak about something that we women mostly, provided, counting that this show is for women, we go wrong. And we are going to understand why. Today we're talking about the words. We used the name of the show as My Bad, because many people, when they end up saying what they should not, what they didn't intend to, or in the way that was not proper, they will come and say, oh, my bad, I apologize. What should we do so that we are not going to put ourselves in such situations that we have to end up apologizing because we said what we should not, or what we didn't mean, but it was done, and now we have to deal with apologizing. So our show of today will talk about, for easy understanding, about 4 different types of talkers. Who knows if you find yourself among them? And don't worry, because each one of us today are seated in the hot spot. We're talking about what we did in the past and how we changed it to be a bit wiser in the way that we speak. Before we go on, let us watch this promo that will show some of the statements, common statements that people use out there without really realizing the emotion or the result or the impact in their words. Let us watch together.
Sarcasm. jokes, curiosity. These phrases have been either said by you or other people. To some people, it has broken relationships. To others, friendships and relationships were made. Here are the common statements that people say, not realizing how damaging they can be to others. You look beautiful today. Some people may think of the statement as kind and lifts up their self-esteem. Some people consider that they only refer to themselves as being beautiful on that day. Therefore, on other days, they are not. Are you expecting a child? Commonly for women, some people assume when another person has gained weight, they might be pregnant. Others may ask out of curiosity and not with malicious intent, although the person who is not expecting a child will find offense to that. Are you okay in the head? You gained weight. You lost so much weight. You're too skinny. I don't think this is for you. You're not that up to standards. Try improve or fix yourself. How often do you exercise? Sheesh, these statements are hardcore. Have you found yourself saying that to someone, or has someone said that to you? How did you react? Well, back to the show.
Now let us see how this happens in practice. Of course, we always bring a subject, but we make it very practical. And as I said today, all of us on the hot seat. Precious, talk to us about the joker.
Okay, there's a group of people that are jokers, and in them doing that, they like to say they're telling the truth, but in a light and funny manner without hurting the person. But it's not always true, because sometimes you often hear people saying behind every little joke, there's a little bit of the truth. And when they see that it has struck a nerve or hurt a person, then they double down on it and say, no, I was just joking. That's not what I meant. You are taking it too personal or too serious. And I think now what's trending is people will say, it's a joke, can you take a joke? Then they go like, ha, ha, ha. Almost like mocking the person for getting offended or getting hurt with what they're saying. And in doing that, I fear that when you are a person that jokes too much, people don't actually take you seriously, your words serious, because you can come and say something serious. And because you're often taking on that personality, people will never actually take your word or see any weight in it, because they will just think, oh no, she will double down on it later on and say she was joking. And we often see it. Sometimes parents do it with the children, promising them something like, okay, I'll give you that. Then later when the child comes back and says, Mom, ways that like, no, I was just playing with you, or was just joking. But there are those as well that throw digs with jokes. So they will tell you maybe they don't like something that you did or appreciate it. Then the person will just make a joke and say, it could have been done better. Like if it was me, I would have done it this way. And they laugh. Although people might be laughing at that moment, but you are striking a nerve. And we see that in that people don't actually feel comfortable being around that type of personality, because sometimes they make light of serious issues that actually mean a lot to people, and just because they think it's a joke, they make fun of things that can't be changed. Like sometimes you make fun of a person's appearance and they can't do anything about that. And you don't realize that in you saying that, you might be adding on to their insecurities. You might be making them feel much more worse than what they actually are feeling. So I think that group, though they can say, people get offended easily, it's not that they get offended easily, but it's the underlining tone of your message that you're delivering with that joke.
Now tell me about you being the joker. What was your experience?
I used to be a joker. Like I'd make fun of things, not fun of things, but then like I'll say something and then make it light. Like, oh no, I'm not going to come, or I will come. Oh no, I can't do it. But then I can actually do it. But then just to make maybe everybody comfortable and okay with, okay, she said she can't do it, then it's okay. But then I started noticing that when I would say something seriously, people would think I'm joking. Like, no, she's playing. No, she won't deliver. She won't do it. And that would actually catch me by surprise, because I remember my dad used to say that when I was growing up, that the day you are serious and you want people to really believe you, they are not going to take you serious, and you will feel that pain. And once I went through it as a teenager, and in some instances where you tell people like, no, guys, they said we need to do it this way. Then people look at you like, no, like you're playing. Like, no, but really, like we need to do it this way. That shows actually you how much playful you are, because why do you need to overextend yourself to explain to people that I'm being serious? This is what we actually have to do. And it does get frustrating, because in as much as you try maybe sometimes to make something light so that you can deliver the message, if the person is not taking it the way that you want them to take it, you can find yourself with your foot stuck in your mouth.
So the joker is a problem. But we also have the extreme, the sincere. The one who is extremely sincere and also will convey the truth in a different manner. Toko, on you.
Yes, I like this one because I was like that. So it's not something that I need to incite or like recite. I mean, it's something that I was before, because for me, when I grew up in a home where I was taught how to express myself. When I don't like something, my father taught us that you have to say it. It's not wrong. You shouldn't pretend as a person. But sometimes people can go to the extreme, as Miss Massa said. You know, you hide through sincerity, but you are hurting other people. There are people that will say, no, me, I'm like this, I'm sincere. You have to accept me. I'm a straight talker. So when I say it, I mean it, and I cannot change it. They do not even care how it goes to that person, what it's going to do. Those words, what are they going to do to the person? And this is the kind of person I was ever since I grew up. I was just a sincere person. Though I never had a lot of friends in my life. Actually, I never had friends. But I was sincere even to my family members, even to the one who taught me to be sincere, my dad. Because I would tell him, but you said we should be this and this. And he wouldn't even like it at times, to show that it was too much, it was extreme. So I needed to learn how to balance now. Because for me, I would just tell you, if I don't like something, it doesn't matter even if it's food, or I don't like what you are saying to me, I will just tell you that I don't like it. Food, I would not compromise and eat it just because I have to please you. I was that kind of a person. I don't like it, you have just to understand that I don't like it. You know, and also if I don't like something that you are saying, it was easy for me just to say to you or to show you through my expressions that I don't like it and I'm not going to compromise. But it didn't help me. It didn't help me at all. Instead, you would see, especially for me, because as I say, I never had friends outside. I learned how to have friends in the church. So I started having friends among assistants, pastors' wives. And then you would see that they are pastors' wives that when they are with me, they are, you know, it's like, You are seated with her, but you don't know what to say because you don't know what she's going to say. So it's like they were very careful of me because I'm too sincere. Because if they say something and I would say, no, you are lying, I wouldn't have a proper way of putting it and say that, no, that is not true, you know. I think it's not true. But I'll just say, no, you are lying. That's it. And I wouldn't see anything wrong with that. I would think, but it's a lie. A lie is a lie. You get it? Until I, you know, as you said, sometimes we hit our heads. That's when you learn. Only when you hit your head, because sometimes you do it with people that have even authority over you, you forget who you are talking to. So you have to understand that you must have balance. Even people that you are talking to, it's not your age mate. You cannot just speak anyhow. So I have to strike a balance between sincerity and hurting people, because I would hurt people through my sincerity. Even my husband himself, you know, I would say things just like that and he would be like, oh, that was too strong.
Where is this
for
coming
me.
from?
Exactly. Or when he buys something, I'm like, no, I don't like it.
The lime dress.
You get it, the lime dress, yes. So I would say, no, I didn't like. Who
By
said
the
I
way,
wanted
people was
this?
very curious about what kind of dress.
So this went all into my marriage as well, So I had to learn that you can be sincere, but in your sincerity, do not hurt people. You can be sincere, but also there is a difference. I think there is something that people do in the world, I've noticed, that they think that sincerity is to be rude. There is a difference between sincerity and rudeness. So I had to sit down I had to check myself and say, am I being sincere, or sometimes it's rudeness? And I had to be truthful to myself and say, at times it's not sincerity, it's rudeness, and I need to change this because I will lose friends, people who care about me. Sometimes people would not even want to be close to me because of that. Because sometimes in our sincerity, just like the joker as she was talking, I was just thinking about what she was saying, that jokers, they like to joke even about things that are so serious. You even build insecurity in people. For example, in Africa, you can't joke about something the person has. It's an offense. You can even be arrested. You can't. And then there are people that want you to accept that, no, it's a joke, you have to accept it. Or we are sincere, we joke. So there is a joker, there is that one who's sincere as well, but both can hurt people very much. And we can destroy people's lives through our words, because in our sincerity, sometimes you don't need even to say something. Just let it go. You are not going to die. That's what I've learned, that sometimes I don't need even to add anything. Sometimes even if I see that I don't like it, I don't need to say that I don't like it. Anyway, I won't die. So I just keep quiet, leave it to pass. Then life moves on. Nobody's sad. Nobody's angry with each other.
And something we realize, interesting, because the joker wants to communicate the truth in a light manner. The sincere wants to communicate the truth in a straightforward manner. But there is a question mark. Which truth? Because sometimes it's not necessarily the truth, but it is what you think.
It's my truth.
It's your truth.
Exactly.
It's very popular today that everyone has its own truth. So in your case and in her case, it is the truth, but it's not necessarily the truth. It's the way that they see things. So you end up making enemies. You end up hurting people for something that is not a status quo. It's the way you see things. The third type of stalker, it's the manipulative. And, I'm going to put all of us in problem. Because when you talk about manipulation, the first thing that comes to your mind is, are you? Everyone says no. But I'm going to show that if we don't pay attention, with our words, I'm going to prove actually, we are manipulative. Children grow up learning to manipulate. That is girl. No one can get from the father what that little girl can get. You see, I have two here. They are already incriminating themselves. I'm not saying you my truth, But they, from the whole family, they are the ones who can get what they want from the father, because they know the face they are going to do, they know the words they are going to use, and even the mother gets shocked how they were able. They go to the mother and the mother say, no, you're not going to go, and that is final. But daddy's girl has a way of speaking that she will get what she wants. And we grow up like this. Then, with sweet words, we end up being able to manipulate at the workplace, to manipulate teachers at school, and poor husbands, how they are victims. Right or wrong? So each one of us, we have a little bit of this kind of talker. I could tell my husband, I don't want to go because I'm tired. But I don't want to seem, bad. I don't want to be in his bad books. I don't want to cause a situation. So I know my husband, and I know that being a man of God who loves and cares, when I tell him, I'm so tired, and the first thing he's going to say is, no, don't worry, don't go. Why I didn't come to him and say, Marcelo, I'm so tired today. I had done this, I had done that. I think I'm not going to go with you. So the problem is not that I am really tired. I was not lying. The problem is not that I don't want to go. It's the way that I convey the message that makes me to end up look good, or, making him to feel pity about me. Which one of you don't know how to get what you want from your husband? Tell me.
Let me just say something. I grew up with both my parents and
Daddy's girl.
Firstborn and all that. So for me, when you spoke about that, I just remembered my childhood. But I don't know, God has a way of doing things in his own way, because my husband is very hard to manipulate. It's very difficult.
But you still try.
People who know my husband, they know how he is. My husband, even when there is a dispute between me and another friend of mine or a pastor's wife, he will want to know the truth, who was wrong between us. He will never take my side just like that. But, when you are used to your dad, everything you get, I would get so frustrated. I'm like, this guy does not even believe in me. My father used to believe in me, He would not even question, and all that. But even though you are not a manipulative person, or your husband can be difficult to manipulate, women, they just have this thing in them. And we have to be very careful, because if you find a man that is easily manipulated, you can destroy him. You can destroy him. So we have to be very careful, because us women, even if people were not raised by their dads, it just happens. It's just
I
there.
think it's born
there.
with us.
Yeah, we were born with that. So we have to be very careful. As Miss Masa was saying, that everyone as a child, ladies, we had this. I just remember very well everything when she was saying. That's why I was laughing, because I had ways. My father would believe me sometimes over my mom, and I would be like, yes. And then my mom will be like, that eye your mom gives you, that eye, you're like, oh my God, I'm dead. When my father is gone, I'm finished here. But we just have to be careful, because every woman has that. And if we use it in a bad way, it can damage, a lot of things. We can still use the same thing, but I would say in a spiritual way, when you want to get your husband to do something, sometimes maybe he's being stubborn, but you want to help him, you can use that, but not to manipulate, to get your ways.
A greater good, not for manipulation.
Yes.
Because that's the thing. You see how we play. We're talking about our relationship. My husband trusts me with the finances. So whenever I'm going to buy something that is out of the ordinary, I'm still going to call him and say, I'm going to do that. And I know he will never say no. And I don't need to add that. No, I'm just calling because I want you to know. Because I know he will never say no. But without realizing, we have our ways to make him to say yes, even if he doesn't like or agree. And I have done that a few times. When we use our power of influence for the good, that's not manipulation. And God honors.
Like Esther.
Queen Esther. But when we think we have to manipulate to get what we want, you're going to have a sensation at the end of the day. And I have been there. To give a suggestion that he ended up following. And then God came to me and said, are you happy? Because that was not my plan. And then it's the worst moment that you have, because you got what you want, you said what you thought it was right, you made your suggestion to make you happy. He followed your suggestion, and then you felt that God was not happy with you.
I think when we are like that, Miss Massa, sometimes you can even lead your husband to make wrong decisions. Then later, as you said, God will ask, are you happy now? Your husband made a wrong decision because of you manipulated your way. You wanted things your way. So I think really we have to be careful.
And that was the turning point. When I heard God's voice saying, are you happy now? You got what you wanted. You made him to accept your suggestion. It did not work, and it was not my plan. It was not what I wanted. And that was the wake-up call of this manipulation way of speaking, of which many women are proud of. I get what I want from my husband. I make my boss to give me the day off that I want. For us Christians, we always need to stop and think. But in all that, we became victories. Like you said, yes. But was it the will of God? Was it the plan of God? And we end up failing with God. We are still in the good books of people, but not with God. The last one of today, because there are many, but the last one of today, the flattering tongue. Can I call the flatterer?
Yes, the flatterer. And I think a lot of people get confused, like, what is the difference between flattering someone and complimenting someone? Because they think that, I'm just going to compliment this person, and there's nothing wrong with that. And as people, we know how to compliment people, but the difference is when we start flattering people. And sometimes, I want to say that they do it unknowingly, but in actual fact, they know what they are doing, because flattery is excessive and it is insincere. It is not true. You're complimenting someone and you even exaggerating what it is that you are complimenting that person with. So it comes from a narcissistic place, because it's all about you. You want something from that person. So that's why you are going to flatter that person. Even if it is not true, but you're going to make up something about that person to be like, oh, you look like this or you look like that. And that's why flattery is vague. It's not, there's no depth in it, there's no substance with it. Whereas with complimenting someone, it's because you see something and you will be able to point out, like, I like you because you did 1, 2, 3. You look beautiful because of 1, 2, 3. But with flattery, it's just, there's no depth in it. It's on the surface because you want something out of it. So the difference between complimenting and flattering someone is the motive behind it. What is your intention? So there are people who like throwing compliments around and they're like, no, I'm just being nice. Even flattery has a facade of being nice, but behind it, what is the reason? Why are you flattering that person? For example, I can give an example when a person wants to get into a relationship with someone. We call that term flattering, we call it flirting. So you see a person and then, you're just going like, oh, I saw you were beautiful, you look so nice. But the thing is, you just saw that person for the first time. So how do you know if she's beautiful inside? You just looked on the outside. So a lot of people get into relationships by flirting, and they flirt because they want something out of that relationship. So maybe they want a friend with benefits. And once they get that, then the flirting stops, the flattery stops. So it means that it was insincere. We can also make an example, with those salespeople who call and they want to sell you something. I mean, I've been flattered by salespeople on the phone, and someone is like, oh, you have such a lovely voice. One thing I know about myself is that I have a Smurf voice. Precious and I, we like laughing about our voices. Like, I have a very Smurf voice. I don't even like recording voice notes. That's how much I don't like my voice. So when someone is like, oh, you have such a beautiful voice, I know that they want something. They want me to buy that product. So already I'm not gonna buy because I know that they are lying. So they might even try to compliment me, but when you know the truth, you're not gonna buy that. So I'm like, in my heart, I'm like, you know what, you just lied about my voice. I know how my voice sounds, so I'm not even gonna. So everything that comes after that, it's not true. I know that it's not true. We even do that in workplaces as well. Just because a person wants to get a promotion, they start to flatter the boss. And I read a quote that says that, I found it interesting, that gossip is something that you will say behind somebody's back, but you will not have the courage to say it to their face. But flattery is something that you are able to say to someone's face, but you are not able to say it behind their back. So if I'm here and I'm saying, oh, Miss Togo, I like you, you're like this and like that, but I'm saying in front of her, but I'm not able later on when she's not there to go to Precious and be like, you know what, I like Miss Togo because she's like 1, 2, 3. Then I have to know that is flattery. And I used to flatter people quite a lot. I did. But
today hot seat times 4.
not not as a pastor's wife. Because like Miss Togo, she gave her example. I never had friends growing up, so it was really hard for me to make friends because, I mean, my life was really not that interesting. So, I never dated. I never went wild as a child. I was always...
Thanks God for that.
Yes. I was always at home. On Sundays, I'm in the church because my mom was really strict. But at school, because I wanted to fit in and I found it strange, it wasn't possible for me to always be on my own. So I would flatter people that I liked just so that I can be a part of them. So another way that I would flatter them, it would be by imitating them. Like how they would talk, how they would walk, how they would dress, only because I wanted to fit in. But the thing with that is that I really, really got tired of being that kind of a person because I honestly didn't like them. Like they were not good for me. They would put me down. And, for me, because I wanted to be part of the group, I would always praise them. I would always flatter them and think that they would accept me. But at the end of the day, they never really accepted me. So flattery is dangerous for the person who's doing the flattering and the person who's receiving the flattering as well. Because once they discover that you were lying, that is the end of the relationship because there was no truth in it. So when I saw that, they really don't care about me, and in actual fact, I really didn't care about them as well. I just wanted to be part of the group. So I would flatter them, but I really got tired because there came a time where I changed, I converted, and I was like, I don't want to be part of this group anymore. So the flattery stopped and, I went out of the group and now I started being by myself. I enjoyed being by myself at school. So that's my experience with flattering. And as well, receiving flattering on the other side. When you are intelligent enough, you will know that there's something that this person wants. When the person is complimenting you too much already, it becomes, they say that it becomes sticky. It's too sweet. It's like syrupy. It's too sticky. And when you start feeling like that, like...
Toffee sticky.
Yes. And you start feeling like, what do you want? Even if you won't say it with your mouth, but you already know what do you want, then that relationship won't be good because you already have that sense that this person wants something from you.
We talk about 4 different kinds of actions in the way you speak. And why are we exploring that? Because words have power. But also, even though actions and words are displayed in different ways, these 4, they have 4 things in common. 1,
You're not taken serious because whatever you say, people will always question if you're being serious or not, and that's not a good place to be in.
And the extremely sincere ones, they always hurt people because they do not choose the words they use, or they do not choose the way they say things. They just say, I'm sincere. You know, there's a word in Xhosa when someone just speaks. They say it's like you were hit by a horse behind. Your back was hit by a horse, so you're just throwing words. So you can hurt people if you are too much sincere. We are not teaching people not to be sincere here, but in your sincerity, think about people's feelings as well. Yeah.
And they lose friends as well. You know, as I gave that example of flattery, once that friend of yours that you've been flattering so much discovers that you were actually not telling the truth, that's when the relationship will be severed, because they will never believe any other compliment that you give them. So you will lose friends because of these types of words.
I would say that in all these 4 situations, you put yourself in an awkward position. You show a side of you that you are not, or you don't gain with what you do. You will end up falling in discredit. Just after our break, we are going to talk about the root of it. Those are consequences, but there is a common root for this, and how you can get out of one of these modules or any other one, that you realize that the way you speak, it's not communication. It is not wise. We are going to be right back.
And less of me. Lord, I pray that there might be more of you and less of me. More of you and less of me. Lord, I pray that there might be more of you and less of me. Like a grain of wheat that falls to the earth and dies to live anew. All my plans and earthly desires, I lay them down to follow you. More of you
Welcome back. And I hope we were not so direct. But it's necessary that we women take account of the way we speak. Now we are going to unveil the root of it. We spoke about 4 things that these 4 different talkers, they have in common. But the source of the way that we used to communicate that was not profitable is one, and it's called insecurity. Each one of these talkers, they speak out of insecurity. So if I'm going to get the flatterer, she wants to flatter people so that she's accepted because she thinks she doesn't fit in being who she is. When we talk about the sincere, she is so afraid that someone will see the truth that is not the truth, that she goes ahead and say, this is who you are, so that the game doesn't turn against her. The joker is insincere because what she could speak out of wisdom, she's afraid of the consequences. And the manipulative stalker, she manipulates because she just don't trust in herself and in God for the right direction. So as a matter of fact, when we resort not to communicate, but just to speak, like the horse that you were talking about during the break. What is the word in Xhosa?
Usually, classes, when someone just speaks anyhow, they have a saying, they say, "Ukhatyweli hash." It's like the horse hit you behind, so you just, throw words. You don't even choose the words you say.
So when you don't choose the words you say or the way you speak, it's lack of wisdom. And that lack of wisdom comes of being insecure. You are not sure of who you are, so you try to display what you wanted to say or convey the message you have just anyhow, because you don't believe you can do it in the proper way. Now the question, of course, we are not here talking about the problem without bringing a solution. Toko, what one could do, that probably what all of us did, to change it?
I think the best thing, I think I will say, because of what I did as well, because people were afraid to tell me how sincere I was. Even when I would ask people, they would say, we didn't want to be like, we are teaching you not to be sincere. So we didn't want to tell you you are too sincere. So I had to recognize myself. I had to acknowledge that I'm overly sincere. I can be sincere, but I was too much to the extreme. So when I recognized and acknowledged that I was like that, that's when change came, because I took a decision now that, okay, now I know that I'm like this. So what should I do now? From now on, I'm going to choose my words right. I'll choose the right time to speak, because this, as I said, it will go even to marriage. You don't even wait for the right time to speak. You just speak. So I chose to say, I will change myself. I will take time to think before I speak, and even in my sincerity, I will pray about it for me not to hurt anyone, be it my husband or friends. Because when you make a decision that comes from you, it's even better. Because sometimes when people tell you, you just do because you don't want to lose friends. I'm going to change because I want to keep my friends. But when it comes from you, it's something that you don't want to go back. You always fight when that comes again, when that sincerity, extremely sincerity comes, you kick it yourself. You are like, no, I am not going back. I promised to God that I will never be like this again. Not that I'm not going to be sincere. I am still sincere, but in my sincerity, I'm very careful with what I say, when I say it, and how I say it.
You found balance. Yes. It doesn't mean that you don't joke anymore. It doesn't mean that you don't compliment people. It doesn't mean that I don't try to influence people in a good way, but we found balance because we went to the root of what was causing us to act and to speak in that manner.
And I think also sometimes it's not with people, but it's with yourself. A lot of people sometimes don't notice how they speak to themselves, because they can be saying, maybe I don't joke, I'm not overly sincere with other people, I'm not manipulative and all of that. but with themselves, they are that. They don't take themselves seriously. When they look at themselves in the mirror, they're the first ones to say, you can't do it. They're the first one to be so harsh with themselves and say, you're not good enough, or you made a mistake, so you're condemned. This is how it's going to be. Or manipulate themselves to thinking, no, you deserve to do that. Like, it's your time, it's your moment. And sometimes it exceeds their spiritual level as well, because then the person thinks, no, what's wrong with me just relaxing today? Like, I deserve it, me time. How about I take my own time out? But not realizing that sometimes we're very kind to external people, but when it comes to ourselves, we fail to play that same role that we have to be doing. So maybe there are people that are looking at us and they're ticking all the boxes and they say, okay, I don't joke, I'm not overly sincere, I'm not manipulative, I'm not a flatterer. But maybe with themselves there are people that think so highly of themselves, like they own the world, like there's no one better than them. Like anything they get, like, oh, of course I was gonna do it, like I deserve it. And that can be also a danger, because if we don't recognize what you say to yourself, we are a product of what we say to ourselves. So usually we project what's going on the inside.
And normally what they say when somebody hears you saying that, they always say that, don't flatter yourself. Meaning that they want you to humble yourself. So we also can flatter we can flatter ourselves when we think too highly of ourselves.
So now let us hear what God's point in this, what God tells us about this kind of talkers.
Let's see God's point in this.
If you are a Christian, an experienced Christian, you know where I'm going. And I'm going to invite you to read the book of James, chapter 3, from 1 to 12. Today I'm just going to highlight a few verses. Let us understand that with our words, we can bless, we can curse, we can heal, we can hurt. We can give words of wisdom or lack of wisdom. It's up to us to choose how we are going to use our words. They can be words just spilled, or they can be a line of communication. So God, in the book of James, and I would really invite you to read from verse 1 to 12, I'm selecting just 3 verses for our reflection of today. In verse 2 it says, for we all stumble in many things. He starts with recognition. If anyone does not stumble in word, he is a perfect man, able also to bridle the whole body. You can realize how important our words are. Because we could say someone is a perfect man because of his attitudes, because of his character, because of his relationship with God. But in the Bible it says if he doesn't stumble in his words, we see how God takes importance in words. So much so that when we talk about Jesus, Jesus is the Word, and the Word is Jesus. So how do I display my Christianity, my level of spirituality, if not being wise with my words? If I am able to control my words, if I am someone who's able to compliment and not flatter, if I am able to be sincere without hurting, if I am able to be someone joyous without mocking, joking, without manipulating, I control my whole body. However, if I can't control my words, it seems, according to the Word of God, we can't control anything else. Then in verse 9 he goes, with it we bless our God and Father, and with it we curse men, who have been made in the similitude of God. In other words, how can a mouth that bless God curse people? What is inside of this person? Do I bless? Do I curse? And when I do that, when curse seems to be very heavy, but when I badmouth, I criticize, I lie, I look down at people, I'm forgetting that that person is also God's creation, is also God's image. So how can I bless God, but I mistreat my fellow colleagues, people that I don't know, forgetting that they are also from God? And then in verse 10 says, out of the same mouth proceed blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not to be. So reflecting about the way we speak, the root, and how we have been establishing or not a line of communication will directly impact everything that we do. It will impact our credibility. It will impact our life with God. Because the same mouth that bless Him cannot curse everything else. Now, what is the conclusion of the Metatuku?
Now for the conclusion of the matter.
The conclusion of the matter today is that I think for me, wisdom comes above everything. When we are wise, we are able to have balance. As you mentioned, that not the person cannot say, I'm not going to joke anymore, or I won't be sincere, or, But what we have to understand is that with God, you gave the word of God, Miss Marcia here, and that's God speaking to us that we need to be wise whenever we speak. So when you speak, you have to think before you speak. You need to ask for wisdom, because it's wisdom that is going to help you not to commit the same mistakes that we committed. You don't need to commit the same mistakes as us. You can learn from there. And also, if maybe you are struggling, you are a flatterer, you are a manipulator, you are a too sincere person, it's time for you to sit down and recognize. Because if you don't acknowledge or recognize that you are like that, you can't change. Because nobody can tell you if you don't see yourself. So I think you have to see yourself with those eyes and say, I don't have balance, I'm too much of this. So God, give me wisdom so that I can change and have balance in my ways. Because a woman of God must have wisdom, and they must be wise in their dealings with people, because we hurt people with our words. As the Bible is saying here, with the same words, we can either kill or destroy, or we can also build. So what do you want to do with your words? As a mother, as a sister, as a brother, as a colleague at work, because sometimes we can hurt even our kids with our words, but it's only wisdom that can help us to not commit those kind of mistakes.
We all have been there. We all have made mistakes, and here and there, we attempt it. We say a bit too much, a bit too little. So our source of strength is God, and it is to Him we are going to turn now in prayer for you and for us. Tammy, will you pray for us?
My Lord and my Father, thank you, Lord, as we always thank you for this opportunity that we got to be here to relay our experiences about the types of words that we have used before and how it hurt, how people were not taking us seriously, how we denied the person that you have made us to be because of the words that we spoke. My Lord, maybe there's someone who's watching right now and they realize that they are a joker. They realize that they manipulate. They realize that they are too sincere or that they flatter, and they don't know how to get out of this. Holy Spirit, through this program, I pray that you may open their mind, even those, my God, who don't know that they are even doing it. Maybe they have been told by people that this is how they behave, this is how their words hit, but they never realized it. So through this program, I pray that they may be able to see within themselves and they may take the decision to change. Maybe they have lost friendships, they have lost relationships only because of the words that come out of their mouth. So I pray that you may give them the strength to be able to change, to be an example to those who are around them, to use their words, my God, to build instead of to hurt, instead of demolishing relationships. May they use their words to build, to encourage, to inspire, to motivate people. May truth, my God, come out of their mouth in a way that is polite, in a way that is full of love. I pray that you may give each and every one of them strength. Those, my God, maybe they realized and they've been struggling to change. I pray that through the examples that we're given here, through your word, my God, they may be able to change and that they may be able to see an improvement in their lives and in the relationships that they have. I believe, my God, that your power is already working and that they will see your greatness in their lives, and the words that they speak, my God, will build. The words that they speak will represent you. They will show that they are full of your spirit, and they will spread your fragrance everywhere that they go through the words that they speak. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So we hope that from today on, we have introduced you a new kind of talker, the wiser, that will balance before speaking. And we bring to the end another woman-to-woman show. But we have been counting many blessings over these past 3 years. We have spoken about family, about our achievements, and today we want to bless a special couple, part of our team. They have been with us from day one, days in the radio during COVID. And tomorrow they are going to seal their vows. Maybe that's why they watched the program last week. On the altar of Park Station, our technical team, Lesedi, the voice behind many promos, edition, and auxiliary Vini, who's always behind this camera. He's not right now. That's a surprise for him. From Woman to Woman team, from YPG family, may God bless you and you become a new nation for the honor and glory of Jesus. And it's our pleasure, it's our honor that we have been part of that from the beginning. God bless you. I also wanted to thank my technical team, and I promise they cannot hide behind the cameras. Come on.
Yes, and then the Vini is for auxiliary Vinicius.
Believe me, he's always behind the camera. Thank you, guys. Woo-hoo!
So easy behind the camera.
Shane, you are the boyfriend. You buy flowers and chocolate.
More than flowers.
You were right. Hopes for 2023?
Plain and simple, more audience. If you guys watch this program, I mean, for us, I don't know about Nicholas, but for me, Woman to Woman has been like a mirror. Because you might think it's just for women, trust me, men, it's also for you as well. You can look in the mirror, you can face yourself, and you can be better. I've seen changes in me. I had to face myself, and I've learned a lot through these programs. So I would recommend to anyone, like, if you know someone who wants to change, this is the show for you to watch.
Hi everyone, my name is Lesedi and this...
Yeah, she wants to start editing now. Now you have to work. Thank you. I'll buy flowers for the city this program. I'm gonna write to her. You are strong. You are capable. You are able. You're going to edit all that.
Take a deep breath.
So my experience with Woman to Woman has been amazing and in a different way from most people. I'm sure you understand now. But a lot of people rate their favorite show by the topic, and for me as well, but it goes a bit further than that. And in that, my favorite shows are the ones that were always the hardest to edit, the most complicated ones, the ones that made me realize I made me even feel like I'm not gonna make it, because in that moment I had to just be like, God, you take control, you do what you gotta do. And through that, I saw how things came together. I learned how to trust, I learned how to let go. So those are by far my favorite shows. But I have also edited in tears because of the topic that was spoken about was so confrontational. So I had to, obviously when you're editing, you listen over and over, and it really sank in. So that was a blessing for me, one that I wouldn't trade for anything. So that's my hope, that more people outside and inside the church can watch Woman to Woman. It's amazing. That's it.
On that note, until next week, God bless you all, and who knows what other wonderful news we will have to share with you. Until then, bye-bye.
Laughter.
There is no cut. Let's go, Nami.
Classical moments.
So I'm not sure if I can answer that or my friends can do.
Humbling.
Totally drift away from my vision, from my purpose. And God was so merciful because He saw my sincerity, though I was drifting away, but He saw my sincerity.
Impactful.
To give of yourself to your child, to listen when they speak, to listen when they are talking to you, not to shut them down, not to shout at them, not to call them names, but your presence will remain with them forever, and they will appreciate the teachings that you give to them.
Eye-opening.
But values and principles do not change at all. They stay the same. And once I know that, and once I tell myself that, and I love myself because I'm not going to compromise my salvation for somebody else, then once I love myself in that way, it will be easier for me to love others.
Do you find yourself experiencing those moments while watching the Woman to Woman programs? Well, this is our gift for you. We are announcing our Woman to Woman playlist on Facebook and YouTube. Watching Made Easy, where you can go back to the shows again and relive those moments. Enjoy.